Said, only money. Then compliance in him. Said, the lady so, Mran so, anymore. So, no, me, Mrabina, the lady so said, we are comply with the law. In 1753, the Marriage Act of England was promulgated. One society marriage now, not the Church of England, or your marriage said, one share that marriage. And so that was it. Then, at the time, not there were other religious bodies, Jews who were what we call the Quaker, and others. They did not subscribe to the Church of England, said that only marriages. If we are here in 1753, they did not attack those religious bodies. And so only a year ago, the Church of England, there was a law that was regulated. It is going forward in 1836, then they realized that no, then we have to bring these who are supposed to come up. Indeed, there are many law, and the Jews, and the Quaker Church, and all the others, so they have a way that they do their marriages. They were brought. And so, in those times, so wherever the Church of England, what you do is that you do it in accordance with their rights and usages. Indeed, the publishing banks. Then you go to, we call them civil preliminaries. Then you go to, then you lead into the marriage. Indeed, still, they bring you a religious groups no cross or more. What will we do with them? Because they did not subscribe to the faith that was professed by the Church of England, the Quaker Church, the Jews, and all. So what do we do with them? Almost person of white. So what happened was that so then what happened is, if you are not getting married in the Church of England, and now the Quaker Church, and now the Jewish Church, then you have to get a building that is primarily registered. Indeed, say they are registered to exist as a church. So the church is a legal person, say that an official person to exist as a church. Then, we may license the church for purposes of the marriage. So do things. And your own things are brackets, they were supposed to do it in a particular building that is licensed for the purpose. Now, they follow the preliminaries to the life. So, we call a registrar's office. Now, we notice, then you follow the process to the life. But more year war. The Church of England and the other few groups, they go through it per the rights and usages of the church. Outside of that church, the attorney said, you have to follow a certain law very strictly. In the other, he said, I hired one of the churches outside that one. What happened for that? Or there, registrar. And now, so the very registrar, every council. Now the number, and the way religious when it comes to what we call prescribed words, and the prescribed words, they took it from the common book of prayer. They took it from there. So there are certain words that you cannot escape. And that is, I solemnly affirm that there is no impediment that will hinder me from getting married. So that this one, you have to necessarily see it. Having so you are not like I said, I and the God, they take me now, I shall come to be my lawful wife. You see, so I prescribe words. So who here will counselor, that prescribed words must be said. 1 year, I said it's not valid. Who here will register church is what? That prescribed words must be said. Why is that? It is not valid. And so, this is the concept of how we were going. Now, when the transition by any one, it is almost similar. But here, what is happening is that the Marriage Act, every church, that for purposes of marriage, or before you're married, your man said, number one, the church is registered, number two, you license the church for a purpose. And so, the other story is within, I don't know whether it's SDM or SDM. So, it's within SDM. And so, the license here, I call SDM, I call license for purposes of the marriage. This same church that was outside of SDM, then they have to go to that jurisdiction, the local authority. Now, example, register as sorry for purposes of the marriage. And then it goes like that. Now, the attorney said, the law is saying that if we take this church, for example, it has to be done by a recognized minister of the gospel. All the ministers will say that I have to be appointed as a marriage officer before I am able to superintend over marriage. But that shouldn't be the case. What it is that the Roman Catholic Church, as a bigger body, the Roman Church can appoint one minister to be appointed as a marriage officer for a space. And so all the branches within the church, if they want to do marriage, the officer can act like the registrar of marriage and then issue out the banks and then the foreign deposits. So any member of the church, any reverend minister of the church that is recognized, ordained, can now perform the function of marriage. So those who are ordained have functions they perform. And all of those functions are spelled out in certain circles in the ordination certificate. And so, by that extension, they qualify to superintend over marriage. What we fail to do is to notify the press to gazette all of those ministers as ordained ministers, so that they are able to perform all those functions that there is for them to perform. So that has to do with this. Now, if any person doesn't belong to the church, the Roman Catholic Church, for example, it means that that person cannot get married in the Roman Catholic Church. So, what happens? Now, the registrar's office is created. So, all of those people who do not fall within that space can now go to the registrar's office for purposes of the marriage ordinance, like it was happening in the Church of England and Wales. So those who do not belong to the space, something is created for them, and then they do. So you see that the law is very strict when it comes to marriage. Law is very, very strict. Now, licenses are any worry, but here, the registrar's certificate. The registrar's certificate is issued. But also, the marriage officer's certificate. And about here, what we call a special marriage license. So 3 regimes. Now, special marriage license, no, let's take it one. So the marriage officer's certificate will be issued by the marriage officer for example, the Roman Catholic Church. And you go through the 21-day of the month, 3 consecutive Sundays. When you are done, it is expected that that marriage officer's license will be issued to you. And therefore, such license is very, very have this space no matter will be at our unique say within that 3 consecutive Sundays. Now, so 3 Sundays no 21. Now I issue that license. You issue license now. What it means is that objections now are over. The issue license no pay will be at the objective. Until church here, the wedding on the day of wedding, the then so here our community said, will be what we become. All kinds here and all kinds of that is wrong. For the very moment we issued the officer's license, the objections were taken. And so on that day, the exact congregation said, "Obi will become uncapped." Because at that stage, you cannot do that. In fact, those original lawyers you are a nuisance, and they can call the police for you. So that is how important that license is. Emo said they should have license now. So people say object here. They are going to get to the extreme of the court. Now I was seeking for injunction. Or seeking injunction now, they were to tell them in one. But in the absence of that, once I have issues as special license, objections still now, they are not renewed. But for the couple, on that day, the rest of them resolved said, so maybe to me, in fact, the rest of them they can say that they are not married, you can't force them to marry, but not the condition. And so that is the purpose of that license. Very crucial. Now, some license or expiry date, license no expiry date. Now, license no expiry date for 3 months. See, you must be now issue marriage process license now. Within 3 months, no marriage must necessarily happen. Indeed, who can license now? You have a space to get married within 3 months. Indeed, so who worry outside the license period now, it is not required. Indeed, that license is very, very important because it's an issue to back. The next we have for you for license to see whether indeed the marriage is in conformity with the license. This license is very, very important. Indeed, let that be strategic. Only worry is over. Now, we talk of the shipments in June. July yesterday. It's gone. Bye. So you do it strategically. Then one day I said, hey, yeah, or in December, you can strategically go and do public bands, maybe just when we start November. So you have December, January, February, maybe the years going to be in December. Then you can fall on that contingency plan. Then you go back. Very, very early. I didn't know the days in Assam. We can also note that and then conform to it nicely. Now, you have special license for head counter center. Special license, as the name suggests, for special purposes. And so, our 2 functions. Open Marriage Act 1, Section 55 talks about special license. Our 2 functions. First one, proposes to dispense off with the notice. Until maybe I'm not who per se worry. But now who needs a they say you don't find me until time a meeting. Then you go for a special license so that it will dispense off with the notice. Or maybe notice if you go so that you are able to do it in record time. So special licensing, first function, it will allow you to do the marriage in record time because they are only ready. Because of that, our special license now, the special license is only valid for 20 days. The normal license is valid for 3 months. Special license is only for 20 days. Because while we start going to 1 day days, 3 Sundays, no do. So the Lord says, okay, then I'm only giving you 20 days. So for this special license, you can only use it within 20 days. After 20 days, that special license is gone. So the first function. Now, second function of this special license. Sorry, they are registered, they are licensing for marriage. Also, they compare sorry one. Oh, you don't want to do the marriage day. Then you want to go to the beach to have your marriage day. And so people pray, your way and say, because their church is licensed, they will now carry their boots and follow the couple to the beach for purposes of the marriage. Oh, yes, sir. It is now involved. Indeed, as far as registrars of the so-called then what it means is that you have to go for a special marriage license and say to the principal registrar, say, oh, in the marriage, the person here the big side. And to that too, now I show in that license, say, okay, license is supposed to be for marriage, and what big side. Now I'm directing the marriage officer or the registrar to follow you there. Until we understand, then it is now within the confines of the law. But a lot of times, we will take our books and go to the homes of the couple because we are licensed. We understand again. We do not have a they are bread report and bread report because of here. I've been supreme to appear before the high court. Next week Tuesday. Then they say, I want to from the room, they are before the court. And I have been invited to come and witness. Is it to come and witness for what? But I don't know yet of reverence and witness. Married people here in the 1996. But by the virtue of the fact that it is an office, you owe it the duty to go. And so, well, said, if you don't do it well, it will get to a time where in the courtroom, there will be loopholes and they will use it like this. That is why it is important that, say, see, they are managing, they are we necessarily will have to go for a special marriage license. Now, special marriage license, they sit there. So if you want special marriage, you go there, you go through the process, not have a special license. It is a fear of person one. They are sanctioned, and you go there and do it. It is as valid as you having it done in the church hall. But in the absence of a special marriage license, any marriages you do outside this license for the purpose, ab initio is marriage. But there's a reason why we license the church for purposes of marriage. You can see that it is very solid. And so, who the licensing church, whatever, the first thing asks you to produce is your building permit. So, building permit ensures the integrity of the building. Who we are, then we ask you ordination certificate and all of those things. You are licensed. When the license is granted to the church, what we do with that? Then we will have to give some sort of coaching so that we are able to do it within the confines of the law. And so it is very important that I take notice. Either marriages outside of the church, the registered places, you necessarily have to go for a special. A lot of people come to my home. I said, I won't come. He said, come to us, I won't come. He said, I've been seeing people here. I said, well, you have been seeing me, but you are not seeing me here. So I'm not coming, and I won't come. And so let's try and observe these things so that the marriages we do will be in conformity with the law. So that has to do with special marriage license. Unless you want me to add more, ladies and gentlemen, I am done. Thank you. That as a basis of your argument, and then the special license is granted. But a lot of times They are hiding. Maybe he's married somewhere. Kumasi. He has come here, he want to go in quickly, and he go for special attention. So yeah, they can seriously deny you the license. And then uncompleted building, of course. That I won't say you can't have marriage there. So say I saw you a rented hall, not for the area. What you can do is that you can still go for the special license to license that hall temporarily because it is that. So then you can do what is that if, for example, they want to do the marriage on a Saturday, they will come to the council on Friday and then do the marriage. In fact, when you leave the council, you're already married. And then on Saturday, they go through a ceremonial thing, like they were getting married on Saturday. So that one, they're already married. So at best, you can say that they've gone for some blessing. So yes, if the church is uncompleted, of course, they cannot license it for you for purposes of the marriage, but you can go for the special marriage license to give effect to a place that you have rented for the purpose. Thank you.
So, as a business people, another contribution.
We belong to church. We are our son. The man said, "It is not to share anything." Remember, the whole you know, so you family of war, beach. The beach are wrong. What is it? What are you?
Now, just to conclude, we've spoken about ordinance marriage. I just want to add that the other types of marriages we have, the customary marriage and the ordinance marriage. Now, just to say that the traditional marriage we do are also registered. So, for example, if you are married in a custom, and you do not necessarily want to go through an ordinance marriage, you can also register that customary marriage for purposes of whatever you want to do. So, for example, somebody is married customarily, and they want to use a certificate for some purposes. That person doesn't want to do an ordinance marriage, and because they want certificate, they don't have an option but to go and do an ordinance marriage. But what traditional marriage, they are registered. Until over to now they register. With the registration, you can still change your name to be Mrs. And so it is not only the ordinance marriage that can confer the status Mrs. on you, but even the traditional marriage, once you are registered you can use the registration to change your name to be Mrs. Ladies and gentlemen, when you get married, let us observe, your name does not automatically change. And so, mindset is my maybe they also there from right from the altar, I say, Mr. and Mrs. Polly. Then you go and you are writing it. And it gets to that stage, you see. We have a process, about 3 years, the BBI accepts, they say, visa. They are called through the patrol the daily work, maybe a particular state, another state, patrol the Mrs. name. How is it possible? Okay, you are Mrs. Now show proof that you are Mrs. And she couldn't show. The visa was already there. But because of that, they denied it. Just because we are going to sue people who do. It is not automatic. You go through a process that we call change of name process. You go through it, you accept it, then you can start using the list. Until you say, you are comfortably using your husband's name. Mrs. I will sign for one year. Go through the process to change it. Again, you can just leave your name to be as your business. It's only your marriage certificate that shows that you are married. So whether you change your name or not, you are married. So this the few words I leave with you. God bless us.